Hi everybody, I'm Katie. Welcome to my kitchen where I teach you all the sweet skills that I learned in 20 plus years as a home baker, plus another 8 years in professional kitchens and running my own cottage food businesses. Now, Panna Cotta is easily one of the most impressive desserts, something you would get going out at a fancy restaurant. This beautiful concoction. But guess what? It's just milk jello, guys. But that's also the face you get when you eat it. So I'm going to teach you how to make it at home. Super simple. In the pan, I have a little bit of milk and cream, my sugar, which I've rubbed orange zest into, and some vanilla bean paste. I'm just going to put this on medium heat. I'm stirring it up. The goal of this step is just to dissolve the sugar, infuse the cream and the milk with the flavor of, in this case, orange zest, but you could really use any type of citrus zest. You could use tea as flavoring components, extracts, other things along those lines. I also have vanilla bean paste. If you're using a whole vanilla bean, you split it in half lengthwise, scrape out the seeds, rub that into your sugar before adding it into this, and then also put the whole pod in there. You'll end up taking that out later. But right now this step is just about dissolving that sugar. Also a little bit of salt. Everything needs salt, guys. You always have to round out your flavors with salt. Don't let any recipe tell you not to add salt to something unless you want it to not taste good. I also really enjoy adding acid into my recipes. So this orange zest doesn't have a lot of acid, but it has some. It's got that little bit of floral sweetness to it. I absolutely love orange and will use it every opportunity that I get. So the goal here is really just to bring this mixture to just below a simmer. Now, that has to do with the fact that we're going to then be dissolving gelatin in it. Off to the side there, I have 2 3/4 sheets of gelatin that I am softening in cold water. You can also use granulated gelatin. Check out the blog post for more details on that, and that's linked in the comments below. Now, boiling gelatin actually denatures the setting agents in it. So you don't want to add bloom gelatin to a boiling liquid. You just want to add it to a hot liquid. Anytime you use gelatin, it's a matter of softening it or blooming it in a cold liquid. In this case, I'm using water. And then dissolving it in a warm liquid, or even just directly heating up the concoction that it was softened in. Now, I let this go a little too long because I wasn't paying attention. And it got a little warmer than I really wanted it to. Guess what? It's not the end of the world. As long as I didn't burn or scald my milk, which I didn't. I just brought it to more of a simmer than just below a simmer steaming. I'm just going to give it a moment, whisk it around a little bit, dissipate some of that heat before I add my gelatin. Now, I like to use sheet gelatin as opposed to granulated gelatin, but you can also exchange that. Again, details on that are in the recipe in the blog post linked below. So I'm just going to squeeze all the water out of my sheets of gelatin. I like playing with it. It's kind of fun. Jelly, gelatin, gelatinous. It's just fun to play around with and squeeze. But I want to get as much water out of it as possible, and then just put it into that warm liquid. And I'm going to rinse the jelly particles off my hand. And I'll come back and just kind of stir that around. Now, this is really just about dissolving that gelatin now. Now, panna cotta is a cold dessert. We eventually want to get it cold. That's why we're not heating up the entirety of our dairy to do this step. So I have a whole nother portion of dairy over there that's actually significantly more than what is in the pan. And at first I was thinking, oh, I'll just do it in this pan. But if you see, my immersion blender is not really submerged all the way. if I were to do that, I would be incorporating a lot of air. In panna cotta, you don't want air. You'll end up with a bunch of bubbles on the surface. And because I don't plan on turning this out at the end, then I don't really want that because it'll just look funky. Also, it's not supposed to be aerated. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cold cream into a bigger container here so that my immersion blender will be fully submerged. Now, this panna cotta is an emulsion, right? Dairy in itself is an emulsion. It's a mixture of fats and liquids. So I'm going to run my immersion blender while I stream my warm liquid with my gelatin into my cold. Now, if I weren't to do that, potentially some of this warm gelatin containing liquid could set up before it got incorporated. The emulsion could break things like that. We don't want chunks of gelatin or broken emulsions because then it looks curdled. And I'm just going to keep my immersion blender going. Again, it is fully submerged, so I'm not incorporating air while I'm doing this. And then once I'm pretty confident, like, yeah, okay, it's well mixed. It looks nice and homogeneous. Pastry chef's favorite word is homogeneous. The word of every day in a pastry kitchen is homogeneous. I'm going to take that mixture and strain it into another container with a pour spout. Now, the container that I used the immersion blender in wasn't overly important as long as the immersion blender was submerged when I was blending. You could also do that in like just a standard blender. That can work too. But I do like to have a pour spout for this next step because we're going to pour it into individual servings. Now, if I were being fancy pants, I would have gotten my scale out and individually scaled each one of these. Also, fun fact, these little glasses I actually got from desserts that I bought pre-made from Costco, and I just saved the glasses because, like, they're glasses. Why not use them? And they make really good little single-serving dessert cups. Now, if you see here, my last one didn't quite have enough of a serving. So fancy pants pastry chef me would have gotten out a scale and scaled this out exactly. However, watch this. Oh, bloop. We're just gonna do that. I'm gonna wipe down any dribbles. But, you know, this isn't about perfection. This is about a ridiculously delicious dessert that people are gonna be like, oh my God, you made that? Yes, you made it because it's just milk and cream and gelatin and some sugar and a little bit of heat and some mixing, and you've got panna cotta, which most people think is ridiculously difficult. But as you just saw here, it is not difficult at all. So now I'm going to take these. They need to sit in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours. They can sit overnight, or even up to a week. I do tap it on the counter before I put it in the refrigerator to pop any air bubbles. Now, while those are setting, I'm going to macerate some strawberries to put on top. I've got that orange left over that I had zested, so now I'm going to use the juice. And I've got some fresh, in-season strawberries that are beautiful. I'm just going to cut the top off and then cut those into not super small chunks, but small enough that you can fit a bit of panna cotta and a bit of strawberry on the same spoon for the same bite, so that you end up with this delicious, you know, ratatouille fireworks in the background moment happening when you eat it all together. So I'm not being super particular about this. Once again, high-end fancy restaurant knife skills are important. Your guests are going to take one look at this and be like, oh my God, you made panna cotta. And then they're going to put it in their mouth. Nobody's going to see what the strawberries are cut up like. I promise you. If anybody comments on your strawberry chopping skills, they don't get invited to the next dinner party, guys. So we're going to get those into just kind of smallish chunks and put them into a container with the juice from this orange so I had zested the orange to use in the panna cotta. So the panna cotta was an orange and vanilla flavor base. And now we're gonna just juice this orange. I like to really push pretty hard to release those juices. Look, hard enough that I split the orange. That's okay, whatever. I just need the juice. Everybody's favorite IKEA juicer. I don't know, guys. I love this. I can toss it into the dishwasher, and I've had it for years, and it works great every time. So, um, and then just get the juice out of there. Um, that's once again not a scientific skill. That's just a couple tablespoons of sugar. 40 grams of sugar, not that much. That's another bonus to this dessert is that it's not a huge amount of sugar. I'm also putting some homemade vanilla extract into this. We're bringing in the flavors of the panna cotta at the same time, right? The orange and the vanilla, but then we're pairing it with these lovely bright strawberries. And then there's the orange juice. Whatever container you do this in needs to have a lid. I'm using a 1 quart chili container here because I constantly have them on hand for my cottage food bakery that I still run from home. I'm also going to put just a little pinch of salt. First pinch wasn't big enough. There's a second pinch. Again, you always need salt. Now, sugar is hygroscopic. It is going to literally draw the moisture out of these strawberries. So we're going to sit here and we're going to shake it up. And shake it, shake it, shake it. So that's going to help break down the cells of the strawberries just a little bit. They're still going to have texture like strawberries, but it's going to draw the liquid out of the strawberries and dissolve the sugar and create a syrup. So then these strawberries are going to end up being kind of soaked in a strawberry syrup. And when we go to put it on top of the panna cotta, it will be delicious. Now we're going to put that in the fridge and let it rest while we wait for our panna cotta to set up, which will take approximately 2 hours. Again, overnight is great, but if you only have 2 hours, you only have 2 hours. So 2 hours later, here we are, macerated strawberries, set panna cotta. I make sure I get extra juice out of the macerated strawberries, and give a good heaping spoonful, fill up that little cup. You can put a textural component like toasted almonds would be really good, but really they're great just as is. The panna cotta literally tastes like an orange creamsicle, except for not too sweet. It's firm and jiggly, but it melts in your mouth. It is absolutely delicious.
Mom, I want it really. I do want it.
And bonus points, this recipe is approved by my 10-year-old sous chef. Head on over to Confessions of a Wayward Baker for the full recipe, along with more details, tips, and tricks. And be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share this, and tell me what you guys are baking. Show me if you tried this recipe, or ask me questions, or give me ideas for future videos. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.